Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new ESO Guides video with me, Sherman. Today we're going to be going back over the changes coming to the game with Morrowind. And before I get started, I want to say this. To the devs, thank you for a lot of these changes, but some of them are still kind of, there for a lot of people. For me, I don't think any of these changes are really that bad. It's just going to change how we play, and I don't think, honestly, do not think that the people that are tantruming on the forums are doing us any good on getting anything reverted. In fact, they're probably hurting more than they are helping, because they're not doing it constructively. They're being really whiny about it. They're being just like little kids throwing tantrums on the floor. And if any of the devs are parents, they're probably thinking, God, man, my kids are more well adjusted than these people. So we'll just leave it at that, and we'll just continue on with the changes. So the Templar first, because this is the one that everyone is really up in arms about, because the Templar got hurt really bad. So let's just, well, before we do the Templar, I'm just going to talk about this. Vigor got an increase. Caltrops got a major, like, correction. So now it doesn't last as long, but it does more damage. It's in a smaller radius, and you can stack it with other people's Caltrops. So it's going to become more widely used for DPS, especially dot builds, and I'll get into dot builds here in a second. And so we do have that. So into the class, the Warden did get some changes. Now it did get nerfed to a degree, okay, with its major mending right here in Sacred Ground, down to 8% from 25% from major mending to minor mending, but it puts the class on par with all the other classes when it comes to healing. In fact, there's two classes that are the best healers in the game right now, right at this moment live, and that is the Templar and the Nightblade. Best healers, hands down, nobody can beat them. Now we do have a third class coming into the game which I can't talk about at all, so I can't say anything about it. Mending got increased to 12% from 10%, so that's a good thing. All your class heals are going to heal for 12% more depending on the severity of the wound. So however bad the damage is that's been done, that will heal for more. Breath of Life got turned into a cone effect, and it's still the top heal in the game, the best heal in the game. Now onto the Ajax Spear, because this is the Blazing Spear or Spear Shards. This is the one everyone's like having a conniption fit about as well. And to meta players, oh well, deal with it. That's what I have to say. But I will say this. The Templar is still the top healer. It will always be the best healer in the game, period. Hands down, nothing will beat it. And here's why. Especially now. Now their Blazing Spears and their Luminous Shards, not only do they get back stamina, but they get back magicka to whatever is the maximum of the person grabbing it. So if it's a stam tank, they'll get stamina back. If it's a stam DPS, they'll get stamina back. If it's a magicka tank, they'll get magicka back. If it's a magicka DPS, they get magicka back. It's because the game, and a lot of the changes aren't to remove hybrid tanks like the sap tank and the Templar tank and the DK tank and all that kind of stuff, the hybrid tanks. It's to make you more aware of your resources, more conscious of your resources. And this just allows stamina and magicka DPS to get their resources back, and they get a lot back from this. In fact, I would say if I was the devs, personally, I would probably strip this down by another 2,000, personally. So you only give 2,000 back, not 4K. I mean, they've already nerfed everything else to a degree. You know, they, as many people say, they nerfed it. And do you guys even know what nerf means? I mean, it's really silly. But this is still pretty powerful, and especially now because it costs way less than using orbs. This thing without seducers. Now I do have 5-piece seducers on, but I have to switch to my sword and board to get it. It cost me 2,787, so 2,800 magicka pretty much, and that is with 10% reduced cost from light and medium armor. You know, with the light armor changes and the medium armor changes, this gives me that, and it's not as bad as you think. Now let's look at orbs. Come on, 4,000 magicka? Kidding me? Unless you're playing a Sork, this thing's just basically worthless. And you're using 7 pieces of light armor. It's kind of like, whoa, that's a lot of magicka. And you're not going to see people just spamming these anymore. Spamming this, but you'll see Templars spamming this because they can. Oh yeah, they can, trust me. So you're going to see that change, you know, between the Orbs and Blazing Spear. Templars are still going to be the top healers. Doesn't matter, hands down. Other than that, you know, those are the major changes to the class. I mean, it's nothing majorly drastic. I mean, yeah, we got a nerf here, and we got a nerf, you know, with the Restoring Light, Sacred Ground, we got a nerf here. But we also got a nerf in champion points, too. And so now we're even worse off. Now, I want to talk about the DK and stuff like that, but I need to go out here to do it. So I need to go to this. There was some changes to item sets. I was reading over all this stuff so I could, like, come to you guys and say, hey, these are the changes. Check the link in the description below. It will have both patch notes in it, and you guys can read them for yourselves. So going over the rest of the classes, though, the changes are nowhere near as bad as people are making them out. Oh my god. Like the Dragon Knight, the Battle Roar change. Okay, so it's lopsided from what it was before. Before, you'd get more stamina back if you had a higher stamina, and you'd get more magicka back if you had a more magicka, that kind of thing. Now it's opposite. If you have low stamina and high magicka, you get less magicka back, but more stamina back from Battle Roar. That's the difference. And this right here, just so everybody knows, this number right here. Do you see the word cap in here? No, it's not capped here. This is where the diminished returns start kicking in. At this point, you start getting diminished returns beyond this number. So you don't get as much back as you used to because of the diminished returns. It still caps at that. It goes to a certain amount, and that's what you get at 26,000. Beyond 26,000, the number drops a little bit. And it's very marginal. It's very, very marginal. It's super small. The place that you get hurt, that you feel the worst, is here in Helping Hands. Because it's a smaller number. If you have a 40k stamina and you go to use Helping Hands, you're not going to get, you're going to get like 500, 300, 400 back of the resource. You're not going to get 900 like my tank, because you're going way above and beyond that number. So that's where you're going to be hurting. The change to Igneous Shield. This was a change that needed to happen. No offense, it needed to happen. Because you're playing a tank and you're using Vigor. If you're not going to stack stamina to make Vigor work better and weapon damage, then Vigor's not going to work for you, period. It's not meant for you. It's meant for a stamina DPS or somebody with high stamina and high weapon damage to get that heal off. It's not meant for Mr. Tank to do it. I'm sorry, it's just not. And if you thought it was, it wasn't. Now, this major mending buff being tied to the Obsidian or Igneous Shield, and whenever the Igneous Shield gets removed, you lose major mending. Now, this is going to become more for healers, and you're going to see a lot more DK healers, but you're not going to see them popping this shield every 5 seconds, and here's why. It costs 4,000 magicka. Are you going to be popping this every time you want to heal your group? Every time you want to cast a heal, are you going to pop this? No, you're not. It's not going to be worth it because you just don't have the resource management. Unless you make a full resource management build. Like literally everything stamina recovery, no magic damage, then yeah. But then your heals aren't going to hit for crap anyway. So it's kind of pointless because of the changes to Blast. And we'll get to that in a minute. On down to the Obsidian Shard. This is something I'm glad that they're fixing because I do use Obsidian Shard to, and it's basically the fist looking symbol on the DK. So, you know, you got that. So you're going to see that. Now, Shadow Knights, or the Nightblades, the Shadow Cloak got fixed. Now, the Reflective Light, the Silver Shards, Burning Talons, that doesn't pull you out of stealth. So that's kind of a good thing. Shadow Image, this one is good because now it goes off of spell critical, which is good. Siphoning attacks, the people whining about this need to grow up. This puts it on par with the Sork. I'm sorry, it does. Because now your light and heavy attacks can heal you, and not only can they heal you, but they can crit heal you. According to these patch notes over here, they can crit heal you now, and I'm going to get over to, if I can find them, that change. Let me see. I think it's further down. I think it's much further down here. according to the changes in the second patch, yeah. So siphoning strikes fixed the issue where the health morph was not critically striking and healing. Now it can critically strike and heal. So any critical strike you do, whether it be magicka or stamina based, you will heal yourself from an attack. So that's a good thing. Light and heavy attacks are going to become very important to a Nightblade, especially with the changes to something else, which we'll get to in a second. You know, this is kind of weird. I mean, you don't get a lot of stamina back. You don't get a lot of magic back. It costs magicka to cast and stamina to cast. But if you look at it, it's 20 seconds longer now. And you get health back, too. So you're getting health and stamina, health and magicka on either version. And anytime you critical heal with a light or heavy attack, you're getting the critical healing from it. So it puts it on par with the Sork to a certain degree. Now, if you guys don't know a lot about the classes, I'm gonna explain them out really well. If you want to make a pure, like the best crit DPS in the game, you're going to go Nightblade. If you want to make really heavy DPS and AoE DPS, go Sork. If you want to make the best healer, make a Templar. If you want to make the best tank, go DK. But if you want to be the best dot damage person, go DK. Over all other classes, they hands down own the battlefield when it comes to dot damage. They get the most burning damage, they get the most poison damage. Hands down, they beat everyone else when it comes to dot damage. But it's not like other classes can't do it, it's just they don't get as much out of it as a DK does. So, back to this, the Nightblade being the top single target DPS in the game, hands down, nobody can, not even the Sork can beat them. Regardless of what a lot of people think, the Sork cannot beat a Nightblade, hands down, with DPS. The Sork does get 5% more physical damage, they get a 5% reduced cost in stamina, but the Nightblade gets the highest crit chance out of everybody in the game, and they get stealth damage. So anytime they come out of stealth, they get 10% more damage. Yeah, they're great at DPS. Nobody plays them that way. Everyone plays them like every other class plays. And that's where the game's been really in a crap mode right now, is everyone's playing every DPS. You know, every DPS is a bow dual wield with the same armors and everything, and it's like you're really not doing anything. And then they use pretty much the same skills, just the opposite version with the class. So it's like you're using the same thing, but you're not. You know, it's just stupid. It's really stupid, and we're going to see more diverse builds coming. Trust me, way more diverse builds. Yeah, I hear you, Ken. Yeah. So Dark Exchange, this got a nerf on the Sork by like a millisecond, and you don't even notice it. People are complaining about the Sork didn't get hurt enough. Well, the Sork doesn't need to be hurt any more than it pretty much is. It has the highest, it has the best AoE damage out of all the classes. It does. But when it comes to like single target DPS, they suck. They suck big time. When it comes to AoE, like I said, they're the best. But single target, they're not as good. Unless you're running a stamina one, running a two-handed, do you get really good single target DPS. And even then, they're nowhere near the Nightblade, again, because they can't get the high crit the Nightblade can. Nightblades can almost hit 100% critical if you set them up right. I mean, literally, I had my Nightblade up to 90-something percent. Like, I think it was like 96% critical. And I'm sitting here going, and why isn't nobody playing this way? Like, that's 96% critical. And if you're using all armor pen, I mean, wow, that's like a nuke in itself. And nobody does it. Everyone does this other thing, and it's like cheesed. So the Templar, we already went over its changes. You know, we got a lot of changes here. The armor skill change. Now this I can show you, I'm going to show you inside the game itself. And then there's been other changes in here. But the big change here is the champion point system. The champion point system got a major overhaul. Like, literally. It was like they took it in, they stripped it down to nothing and rebuilt it almost from the ground up in a lot of ways. And they really front-loaded a lot of things. But if you look here, for every 100 points you put into something, this is the total percentages you're going to get now for these. You're not going to get near as much as you did on a lot of these ones anymore. Oh no, it dropped drastically. But it's a good thing they did. The same thing goes here. You're getting a lot more out of these. You're getting a lot more out of this. and Befoul especially. And then you're getting way more out of these. Way, way more. You're getting less out of this, by the way. So, very front-loaded. And the other place that it really shines is really great, and somebody brought this up, and I've got to call him out on it. So, Gilliam, check this out. You got to see this. So, health and magic stamina percentages increased from red, blue, and green constellation. This means how much health, magic, and stamina you get in a percentage basis. Used to be at 600 CP, you were still getting this increase, and it was 19.88% is what we were getting in our current attribute increase. So all of our attributes were being increased by 20% almost, and it was capped at 600. Now it's capped at 300 CP, and I'm praying they never change this, because this will hurt the game in a big way. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, in the champion point system here, anytime you have 600 CP right now at 600, you get a cap of 19.88% stamina added to your character, health, and magicka. Well, with this new change, we're going to get 20% when you put 100 points in here. So those new players coming in the game that get, rushing through CP, as soon as they hit 300 CP, guess what? They're capped. They can't go any higher. Neither can we. We won't get any more bonuses out of our stamina, health, or magicka. And it's a good thing, because I don't know how they did this percentage calculation. If it's per point, like 100 points, whatever, divided by 20%, blah, 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 whatever, I don't know. But whatever it is, we're getting a huge, it's not huge, it's a big bump. You see it too. You feel it, the big bump increase. It's like 300, it's like I think my Templar went up like almost 1,000 in magicka, almost 1,000 in health and stamina, and it was just like, wow, almost. It was like maybe 800 more over what I already was at, which I'm at 545 on the live, and I'm at 600 here, and I was just like, that's a major difference kind of thing, and it really does. You really see the difference. You really do see the difference, and I think that's really good that they did it. But what they did with the champion points. Now I'm going to talk about the new changes to the champion points. So Master at Arms is new. It gives you direct damage instead of bow damage, and the bow damage from light and heavy was pushed over here to physical weapon expert, and this was renamed from melee weapon expert to physical weapon expert. So any stamina-based weapon, like two-handed, one-handed sword and shield, dual wield, and bows, now get an increase from light and heavy attacks, and it's more front-loaded than it was before, and you get even more out of it than you did before. This goes up to 30%, by the way, 35%. This goes up to 25%. So as you can see right now, like 35 points here gives you 20%, and 56 in here gives you that much. I haven't even spent 100 points, and then if you go over here and look, I have these points spread out, because I get more out of them this way. I get more out of this, more out of this, more out of this. Now I could take this down to 10%, be honest, with being a magicka-based person, and put more into this and get more critical healing. And I should do that, honestly, because I need more critical healing now that I'm missing some other things. So Bless got nerfed. It got kicked down to 15%. And look what it gives me at 43. Now, are you going to dump 100 points to get 5% more out of it? It's not worth it. It's like throwing your shit away. It's garbage. And excuse my language. I didn't mean to let that word out. It happens sometimes. So on to the other changes. This one, Warlord and Siphoner, these got, the cost reduction, these got removed. This got changed over to Break Free. Break Free used to be in Tumbling, but they changed it and put it into here. So I'm kind of glad they did, that they separated it, because I hated putting into Tumbling and not getting anything out of it. Now I get something out of it. Look, 26 points. I'm getting 11% dodge roll, reduced cost in dodge rolling in light armor, which is really good. Doesn't cost me a lot of stamina to dodge roll now, and it doesn't cost me a lot of stamina to break free, which comes in handy on certain boss encounters where you're getting stunned and locked down a lot. So, and especially in PvP, it's a really great thing. Siphoner is the new magician, and it's basically like a debuff to people's recovery in PvP. It's really made for PvP. So they added another PvP thing to this tree, which is really good. So going on, the other change was to Ironclad. And Ironclad now reduces damage from direct damage attacks instead of damage over time effects. So this is really good. I'm glad they put this change in and everything, because now you can stack into this as well, and you can basically negate anyone's direct damage in PvP. And this is really like the two heavy PvP things, besides like Hardy and Elemental Defender, which got hit as well. And now you're only going to get 15% out of these, so you're going to see a lot of spread in points. Now the big increase is this. You get a lot more out of this than you did before. So you're going to see a huge shift in that. And like I want to talk about the armor resistance on gear, because that's getting, not resistance as itself, but like, if you get an armor set, it has like extra physical resistance, extra magic resistance. That's getting a huge boost. So Arcanist, Healthy, and Mooncalf got a decrease. They're 15% now, so you're not going to get as much out of them from the 25% we had before. So recovery is going to play really big in this new update. Just to let you guys know, you're really going to have to play recovery really well. Tenacity is going to be one that a lot of people are going to be using, but you're not going to dump 100 points in it. You're just not. It's not worth it. So yeah, again, you're going to see a lot of changes in the meta when it comes to this. Now, about that armor change, the reason I bring it up is because I already went through all this stuff. So let's move over to this patch notes, and we're going to go up here, and I'm going to show you guys the new gear sets. I'm just going to run through. I'm going to really, just go read this yourself, really, and really read through the patch notes. And the other patch notes, it talks about a change coming to the armor that gives resistances. And I actually should go here and go to the sets so I can show you guys this. So, you guys know the gear sets that give you extra resistances, right? Health, magic, all that kind of stuff. But, or stamina, or physical and magica resistance. Well, now with this kind of debuff, or increase to resistances, they increase this by 45%. This is like 2,400 and something. I think it's 2,480 now. So you get 2,480 something points now with this resistances. And it's good because one of the new armor sets is really insane. So I'm going to go through these really quick. So we got the overland sets, which are dropped in the Morrowind area only. They don't drop in anywhere else but Morrowind. And they only drop in the delves, the public dungeons, and the world bosses. So you got, and from quests. So you got War Maiden, which does max health, max magic, and max spell damage, and then adds 400 spell damage to your damage abilities. It's very similar to like Soul Shine, or this, I forget what it's called, Sunshine or something like that. It's like this one right here. It's very similar to this. Now, you get this, you can get Major Sorcery. If you guys know what Major Sorcery is, it increases your spell damage by like so much percentage. It'll work for this, but it won't work for this. This is something that gets added to the ability itself and increases the ability's damage by 450 spell damage. So it does work really well with like the Sword Singer set, the Sword Dancer set, this set, any of them that do this. They work out really well because it does give you that little bit of boost in the ability and it makes it a lot stronger. But it doesn't, this is going to be like the new set. Oops, sorry. This is going to be the new set people go for to replace the Destruction Staff one. That's pretty much what it's going to do, because it's going to work for all your spell abilities. It's going to be a pretty powerful set. I mean, it really is. Defiler, this is an ungodly set. I don't even know what they were thinking, but hey, you know what? DKs, you just got your new set for stamina DKs. You got max weapon damage, 2 weapon critical, which is fantastic. And then on top of that, you get, when you deal critical damage, you have an 8% chance to summon a hunger that spews poison to all enemies in front of you, dealing X amount of poison damage, and stunning them for 5 seconds for each enemy hit. Each enemy can be hit for 5 seconds stun. That includes in PvP. This is the new DK set. I'm sorry, it is. Because DKs give a poison bonus, and then your Mighty gives you a poison bonus, which adds to this. It does add to this. So this is, you're looking at like 12k damage from this, or even higher, because it won't crit. So you're looking at higher. The next one up is Warrior Poet. This is going to become a major tank set. Regardless of what a lot of people think about the, you have to run Eben and you have to run this, you have to run that. Now, I want to show you what Eben does for you. Now, Eben is a really good set. Don't get me wrong. He's probably, when it comes to group support sets, it is a really powerful set because it gives max health, 4% max healing, and then increases your max health, or increases your max health by 1, and for you and your group. So for you and your group, you get 1,118 extra max health across for everyone. So it's a really good set, really good meta build. A lot of meta builds use this set, but here's why this set is going to be so instrumental to the changes. Look at this. This gives you 1935. Now, remember what I told you, 45% increase. This gives max health, and if you're getting into jewelry, you're going to get 3 more things of max health, pretty much. And if you get it healthy, it's going to have 3 things of health. So that's 4k health. Then you get this spell resistance of 2k. You get this physical resistance of 2k. And then you gain minor toughness at all times, increasing your max health by 10%. Now, this is where things are going to get really, really different for you guys. Toughness is, and just so you guys know, toughness is the same thing that is on Warhorn. Warhorn gives you toughness, 10% toughness, so it gives you this 10% max health. Now, think about it if you're a tank, wearing heavy armor, wearing that set, even with tri-stat glyphs, 10% more health? What? That's a lot of health. And then Warhorn's still going to give you max magic and max stamina, it's just not going to give you that 10%. And you're still going to get the critical damage, even though it's not going to do you much good if you're playing a meta tank, no offense. But I want you to think about this. So imagine making a tank in light armor with 2,500 extra resistances on both sides. And then this major toughness, this minor toughness of 10% max health. And then it's the same thing that heavy armor gives you in 5 pieces. Then 1 piece of heavy armor gives you 2%. So that's 12% max health. Now, just imagine being an Imperial in medium armor. That's going to give you 10% max health, 12% for the race, and 2% for a heavy armor. So you're looking at 24% max health without Undaunted. Then you add Undaunted, and you're looking at 28% max health in medium armor. Now you have a tank who can tank in medium armor. Use a sword inboard on one bar, two-handed on the other. And that two-handed is going to be like a monster in damage. Especially if it's golded out and you're stacking a lot of weapon damage on your character. Just imagine running 5 pieces of Hunding's Rage with this, and all the jewelry has weapon damage except for 1 has stamina recovery. Or not stamina, magic recovery. Because you will need the magic recovery to make up the loss of that. And then you're not using tri-stats, you're using all stamina glyphs on that Hunding's Rage. And maybe a couple health glyphs. Wow. That's all I can say. So on to the next sets, the crafted sets, the Assassin's Guile, really good set. I don't care what anyone says. It's going to be a really good set for hybrid builds, because with the combination of this and another heavy armor set, which I really like, is Druga Kingslayer. This gives you 2 things of max weapon damage, weapon critical, and then major brutality. So you're not going to be, this is going to be the kind of person that's going to go, well, I want to make a melee DPS that does some support stuff on the healing side. Well, now they can do that because now they got that extra spell damage in there as well, and that spell critical. But this is the part that kind of throws this one off, is this alchemical poison thing. But still, it's still a good set. I mean, alchemical poisons can even be used in PvE. There's some of them that work really well. But they're not going to be near as good as what you could get out of some other things. So this is more Nightblade-ish, honestly. For a Nightblade wanting to go with a like heavy stamina DPS or heavy magicka DPS with like light and heavy attack damage, you know, kind of thing. That would be really a good way to go with it. Or if you want to go for a really good support Nightblade using a lot of heals, you know, twisting path or refreshing path, you know, with healing on the back bar where your bow is, and on the front bar doing the dual wield, you can still do it, and you can actually get something out of it now because you get that extra spell damage off this set, and then you get that weapon damage. You know, it's not a lot, but it's still, in the end, if you think about it, if you're running 5 pieces of Huntings with this, it would play a lot on your character. And even if you weren't running huntings, but you're running that set that I was talking about, Druga Kingslayer or Rattle Cage, because Druga Kingslayer, I believe, does drop a robust jewelry set. I know that the Rattle Cage does because I have it on my Templar. I have it on one of my Templars, my main tank Templar on the live server, because I was getting that set together because I was going to change my tank into something else for the update. And a lot, of course, one of the crafted sets kind of plays into it. So on to the next crafted set, Daedric Trickery. This is a really kind of a funky one. Gives max health, max stamina, max magicka, and while in combat you gain one of 5 random major buffs for 10 seconds every 20 seconds. Eligible buffs are Expedition, increased movement speed by 30%. Protection increases your damage reduction by 30%. Mending increases your healing done by 25%. Heroism increases your I think it's 3 per second, 3 ultimate per second for 9 seconds. So, and then Vitality increases your healing received by 12%. So you get there's a lot of different things here, which is really great. Very powerful stuff. But it's the fact that it's 1 of 5 and it's random is kind of leaves it, you know. Now this is the set, hands down. This is going to replace. This is going to change Nightblades in a big way. Weapon damage, spell damage, stamina recovery, magic recovery, and then adds 2,000 max stamina and adds 2,000 max magicka. If you're making a hybrid tank or a hybrid build, period, this is going to be really good for you, especially if you're in Nightblade. Like I said, Nightblades get the highest critical out of all the classes in the game. So it would be really easy to get a lot of critical out of them, especially if you're running Inner Light on the back bar and you're running on the front bar the Expert Hunter from the Fighters Guild. You're going to get weapon critical and spell critical. And if you have the points to spare in Champion Tree, you can get 10% extra spell and weapon crit. And if you're running all of it in Divines and you have the other thing, you're going to get that. If this set has all tri-stats on it, you're going to get another 2,000 max magicka, stamina, and health. Or actually, it's like 2,500 health, and then I forget what it is for this, but you get you get over 2,000. So that's over 2,000 in everything. So you're going to have over 4,000 stamina, magicka, and health. Or stamina and magicka, and then you're going to have 2,000 something health. Yeah, this is going to become an OP set. Now, think about this with combinations of sets like this. In conjunction with things like the Afflicted set. Or, yeah, the Affliction set. This one gives you max weapon damage, extra magic stamina, max magicka, and then on top of that, it increases, it allows you to deal 2,979 disease damage to the enemies around you. And if you get this in jewelry, and dual wield, and a bow, you'll have this up only when you're on the dual wield side, and when you're on the bow side, you won't have this, but you'll still have all this. Or you go with this set over here. Now this set that I'm going to show you is getting changed. This is getting nerfed into the dirt, and in a good way it is, in my opinion. So let's go on down here to this set if I can find it. I think it's ways down here. Did I pass it? I think I missed it, guys. But it's one that gives both max magicka and max stamina. And it might even be in here, to be honest. I really don't remember. I think it is in here. I think it's a light armor set, or a medium armor set. But it gives you both max magicka, max stamina, and it's right here. This one, Stygian. So this is going to be another set that you might see used with that set, and that's because while you're sneaking or invisible, your spell damage and max magicka are increased by 20%. This is getting changed. It's actually just going to be your spell damage, I think, and it gets only increased by 20% while you're in stealth. So while you're sneaking and stuff, your spell damage when you come out of stealth is 20% more. We can go look real quick. It's actually in here under the armor changes, which is down, not really far, but it's down here. So yeah, it's right in here. and it is... Wow. Stygian, right here. See, this item set no longer increases your spell damage or max magic while sneaking. Instead, it just increases your damage done with magic abilities by 20% while sneaking. So that set I could see becoming a really good combination with this. You know, anything that gives you the extra. The other ones that I could see are things like Swamp Raider becoming a crossover set, because it makes your disease damage and your poison damage do extra damage kind of thing, or sets that do things like the Sword Dancer or the Sword Singer being added to that. Because if you think about it, I mean, you look at the set now, and it gives you extra spell damage, extra weapon damage. But then you could take that set that gives you even this setup here that gives you all this extra spell damage on a Nightblade, and then you have this down here, and you get all that. They get that spell damage, that one spell damage. So you're going to get like 600 extra spell damage, and then you take all weapon damage and put it across the jewelry, and you'll see that your character now, especially if you're dual wielding on both bars and using siphoning strikes, you're going to be able to do light and heavy attacks to actually get some damage out of your weapons, and then get magicka back while you're casting spells. So it gives you a good, like, not hybrid, true hybrid, but it gives you this way where you could go with like light and heavy attacks from melee weapons and do magic, or you could do like heavy magic or physical damage with healing and stuff, and actually get some goodness out of it. So it's a really good set. Battleground sets, these are kind of cool. The wizard set, max health, max spell damage, or sorry, max health, spell damage, magic recovery, and then this whenever you take critical damage, you apply minor maim to the enemy. That's going to be an okay set, I guess, for PvP, but this is going to be the killer. Night Slayer. This is for any person playing. This is made strictly for tanks. If you don't know what Oblivion damage does, or what it was, it was a damage that went through any shield. Doesn't matter. Damage shield doesn't matter. So if you're a wizard, a mage, or a sword casting your Hardened Ward, that wouldn't even stop this. You would still take damage from it. So any damage shield, like Blaze tanks, are going to be hating life with this, because these guys are going to be able to hit you at a distance with a heavy attack from a lightning staff, and they're going to get you with that Oblivion damage. So yeah, it's crazy. 10% of your max health, and as Oblivion damage. So if you got 30k health, 10% doesn't seem like much, but that's like 3k damage. Bam, right through your shield. So that's going to become a big player. Coward's Gear, this is really cool on max health, max stamina, or stamina, 2 stamina recovery, and then this, while sprinting, you gain major expedition and major protection, increasing your movement speed and reducing the damage you take by 30%. So really powerful set for a certain thing coming with Morrowind. We want to get into it. Vanguard Challenge. Unless you're taunting from a distance, this set's really going to be horrible for you. But it gives you 2 max health, 4% healing taken, and then on top of that, when you taunt an enemy player, they deal 50% less damage to all other players, but 100% more damage to you. Unless you're doing it with a ranged taunt, this is really just a poop gear set. The next one's really kind of an awkward set. Max health, max stamina, max magicka, and then adds 2500 critical resistance. This is really good if you're not running in-pin gear. This would be great. And it does come in all armor types, so you can get the jewelry in it, and all that kind of stuff, and get the jewelry, actually get the jewelry in the stats you want, like all healthy, all stamina, or magic, and you're still going to get the bonus. You're just not going to get the critical. You don't need the in-pin gear, so you get a critical resistance from there. So it's kind of neat. Trial sets, there's some cool ones in here, and I'll be honest with you guys, the trial sets fit with another trial set very well, and it makes them really good either end. This one gives you 4% healing done. This can increase your magic recovery. This one increases your max magic and spell damage. But if you look, one gives minor slayer, one gives minor aegis. Now they do this on both sides. So the light and the medium do both minor slayer, and then on here, whenever you use an ultimate ability, you and 2 closest allies gain within 28 meters gain major slayer for 10 seconds. So for 10 seconds, not only are you going to have 5% permanent damage, you're going to have 15%. So you're going to be getting 20% more damage to dungeon monsters and trial monsters. So that's really powerful. And it's going to go really good in combination with some of the other monster sets. So yeah, and they're pretty much the same. I mean, tank set, whatever. But what I mean by the monster set combinations, it's not really going to work out well with the stuff from the Thieves Guild from here, because these give you Minor Slayer. The trial sets from here give you Minor Slayer, so it's not going to really work with this, or Minor Aegis and Minor Slayer. It's not going to really work with this. The sets it's really going to work with is the ones from like the Ethereum Sanctum, Halls of the Hallra Citadel. Look at this one. Gives you 2 critical weapon damage, and then on top of that, when you deal melee damage, your critical strike rating is increased by 400 for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This would be really great for somebody who wanted to go for a heavy armor DPS. This and that medium armor set over on the PTS, you know, this one right here, War Machine. Those 2 combinations are going to be really good. Really good combo right there. And the same thing with the rest of the sets. If you look through here and you find all the different sets, good combination with those ones, not for these Thieves Guild ones. So, because I don't think you can stack, yeah, you're not going to be able to stack Minor Slayer twice. So it's going to be a really good combination with those other ones. But I still see a lot of people are going to probably use these sets as well. You're going to have a cross. You're going to have DPS running that, and then you're going to have tanks running Alkosh, of course, still, and so on and so forth. But really, really cool sets there. And that's really all I can talk about with the changes coming with Morrowind, guys. I mean, it's really crazy, and for a lot of people. But I will say this, the reason a lot of these changes are made is because they want to put the game back to the standard at which it was created to be played as. So you're going to have, you know, it was designed with light and heavy attacks in mind. I mean, if light and heavy attacks were not designed to be used, there would be no reason to have them. So it kind of defeats the purpose. Now we have a reason to use this stuff. Now I do want to talk about the healing real quick with the Templar. You guys, the people losing their cookies over this healing thing, don't stress it too bad. It's not as big a deal as they're making it out. It does hurt you, and you do have to come up with, you're going to have to come up with new ways of creating a healer. You're either going to have to be a crit healer, or you're going to have to be a stacked healing effectiveness. Either one, you're going to have to go one way or the other. And then the same thing goes with tanking. You're going to have to go with you know, like resource management is really going to play key now. So you're going to have to use heavy attacks. You're going to have to use more things that play on the resources and stuff. And since it became mandatory, which pisses me off, thanks meta players, and yeah, I'm blaming you, that we use spear shards and we use that other thing. This is going to become mandatory for any content, dungeons and trials. If you want to get the bosses down as fast as you can, you're going to have to be synergizing with using lots and lots and lots of synergies to get this stuff off. So expect to see a lot of necrotic orb play, a lot of that spear shards play, just for that purpose. And it will become even more of a thing with the meta big time. So, you know, and it does. It hurts the game. That hurts the game in a lot of ways, because it's making it required that we use them even in dungeons. You know, and it's like, God, you know, I don't want to have to run spear shards on every Templar I make. So, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So yeah, that's pretty much it though for the changes. You know, are the changes good? Are they bad? That's really opinion based. And honestly, from my opinion, I think that a lot of the changes are for the better. They're going to make the game more balanced. They're going to make the game more rewarding for in-game, for high-end players with 600 CP. And it makes it more rewarding to get there, and it makes it more rewarding to play the game, and in all aspects of the game, not just one area, not just dungeons or trials, not just PvP, but even PvE content is going to be more rewarding, because your character's not going to be so overpowered that you're just going to mow through stuff all the time. Your character's going to be powerful. When you get CP 600, your character's going to be really powerful, but you're not going to be an uber god. you know, and I think that's a good thing that they balance that out. I do think that as time progresses, they will have to start front loading a lot of this, or decreasing that front load, because unless they leave everything the same, and eventually you can max out all the skill trees with just every one having 100 points in it. If it gets to that point, you know, then I can see, okay, yeah, I can see why you did this kind of thing. But for now, with the way it is, I think it's really well off. But once we can put 100 points into everything, our characters are just going to be way overpowered, way more overpowered than we need to be. So yeah, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's my opinion on it. That's my thoughts on it. I can't say anything about the Morrowind stuff because we're under NDA. I could talk about the gear, any of the stuff in the patch notes I can talk about. And even this, I can even talk about this just real quick. I will get this out of the way. So people are really upset about the Warden and its super overpowered healing. Nobody's even played the thing, you know, and I can't say anything. But just to show you guys this, they did make some major changes. Like, its major mending now only lasts 3 seconds. It's the equivalent of a resto staff. And it doesn't, you know, heal an ally. They have to be below 40% health to get that major mending for 3 seconds. That just nerfed that, you know, that part really bad. But I can see why they did it. It puts it in balance with the other classes. Again, it's still a good thing that they did that. And that's, I mean, that really is it, guys. And I've been doing this way too much today. I've been recording way too much. So yeah, that's it for the changes. And that's it for the video. I mean, if you guys want to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, please do. I always welcome them, and I try to reply to as many of them as I can when I have time, but it depends on what I'm doing. So, other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you guys want to see more videos by me, I try to release videos on a weekly basis. You can hit that subscribe button and see when I post videos and everything like that. Other than that, again, thanks for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all later. Bye.